So it's been quite a long time since I've just kind of done a conversational vlog where I talk about kind of like topics that people might think about but might not necessarily talk about. So I thought for this one that I'd talk about having children, which is quite a controversial topic I think for quite a few people, and some of the things that I'll talk about people might not necessarily agree with, but I don't care because I'm going to say it anyway, as always. Yeah, the reason why I've not done any vlogs for a while is because I used to kind of like just have thoughts and think, oh, that'd make a good vlog or whatever, and I just haven't had any thoughts for ages, and I think it's perhaps because there's been other stuff going on in my life that has been taking over a little bit, that I just haven't had that capacity to actually think about things and go, actually, yeah, that'd make a really good vlog. Not that it would make a really good vlog, I never actually think that, I just think, oh, it'll be something for somebody to structure their time with for a good 10 minutes or whatever. But anyway, yeah, so about children. Now, it seems to be in our society that it's the norm to want children, and that anybody who doesn't want children is considered to be a little bit odd or like they're missing out. And so I kind of just wanted to like talk about it a little bit, to kind of bring the other viewpoint, which is like against the status quo. So when I was younger, I envisioned, so I want to say younger, like I don't know, like 15, 16, 17 or whatever, I envisioned meeting somebody, you know, the man of my dreams, get married and have children. Like that was always in my kind of life plan to you know, do that. And I even remember like in first year of university I'd had a conversation with another girl who I was living with at the time, and she'd said, you know, oh, I want to have children young, and I was like, yeah, I do too. And it's basically because that was my parents' model, in that they met each other when they were, you know, 18 or so, got married at 19, 20, you know, had me at 20, 21, and the rest of the children followed, and that was kind of their model. So I was like viewing my life model as being like that also. And I think as I got older and I realised that I can't actually find anyone that I want to spend the rest of my days with, it's become a little bit more like, am I going to actually have children? So I kind of went through the view of, you know, I'm trying to find someone to get married to, not being able to find anybody that you know, I want to meet someone that like I think's amazing and that I can't wait to spend time with, and I want to spend all my time with. And for me that's a massive thing, because I love spending time on my own. Like I very rarely spend time with other people because I prefer my own company. So it's kind of like, to find somebody that I actually love spending time with is quite rare for me. And you have all the issues of, even though I might like someone, they might not want me back and all that kind of stuff, so it become a little bit like it's not going to happen anytime soon. And even if it was, like the thought of having children at this time in my life, like I just don't understand why people have children. Like I'm 31 at the minute, and I always thought like, oh, I'd want children as I got a bit older or whatever, but the older that I get, the less that I actually want them. Like when I'm around little children, I just think to myself about how much of your time is just entertaining that child. Like it's exhausting. Like how do you do it as a parent? Like how do you be like, you know, constantly enthusiastic around a child that's bringing you a twig? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a difficult job to do, and lots of parents are bad at it. Like lots of people should not be a parent. Like I know myself that I cannot be happy 100% of the time around a child. Like I will scar them, like, because I will be naughty and I will be like, leave me alone, like, you know. So it's a massive responsibility to be a parent. I think people go into being a parent not actually thinking about the child. Like they're thinking about themselves, they're thinking about how they want a child, how it will, you know, make their life whole, but not actually thinking about the child themselves and about what kind of like trauma that you're going to be, you know, bringing into that child's life. And you know, some people argue, well, at least you've brought the child like life. It's like, well, the child will probably be in life somewhere else if it wasn't with you. Like there's, you know, a theory that children aren't of you, they come through you, so they enter the universe through you, they're not of you. A lot of people are like, oh, it's my child and they've come through me, and it's like, well, yeah, they've come through you, but they're not necessarily of you, which is why, you know, children end up so different to their parents. So the thought of bringing a child into the world without actually like thinking about the impact that you would have on them, I find quite worrying. You know, when you see like parents like screaming and shouting at a child and being really quite disrespectful to the child because the child won't do what they want because they're losing control of that situation, it's like, that's not the great way to parent. But it's really hard not to parent that way. It's really difficult. Like, you know, I'm not judging parents for bad parenting, but like, it's a hard job and you can't be great at it all the time, and you know, it's massive responsibility. That, to be quite frank with you, I don't want that responsibility right now. Like, I'm focused on what I want in life, and I think we get a lot of rap that we're quite selfish because we don't want children. It's like, actually, it's not that it's selfish, because it's of no but like detriment to anybody else if I focus on myself and my life and what I want and kind of make myself happy. But by having a child and not parenting it well, that is a detriment to the child. So that is selfish to have a child when you're not like ready for it. You know, there's a lot of people that will have children to kind of like patch up their marriage, like the marriage isn't going well, so they'll have another child, and it's like, that is selfish. Or like, you know, people have children because it's like a temporary happiness, and then they realise how hard it is and they're not great at it or whatever. I don't feel like not wanting children is a selfish thing. Like, how is it? You know, the world is overpopulated. There's far too many people living because we're all living older and not as many people are dying. Like, actually, having a child for your own personal want is more selfish, because by not having a child, it's better for the environment, it's better for the world. You know, it's not a drain on resources and all the rest of it. So is it really selfish? You know, maybe if you think that your child's going to be the next person to cure cancer or whatever, then go ahead, have loads of cancer curing babies. But is that reality? Probably not. I kind of as well like used to think that I wanted children because it's the experience of being pregnant and having life come through you, and then I kind of thought, actually, like, I don't really want a baby to rip open my vagina as it's coming out. Like, you know, a baby's pretty big and a vagina's pretty small, and having it ripped open and like having to be stitched back in weird places, and you know, having a shit while you're giving birth, like, and the pain of it as well, like, it's horrific. Like, I don't know how when one person's done it once that they want to do it again. Like, I think if there's some theory that it gets repressed, like all the pain gets repressed, and that's why you kind of do it again. But yeah, I just don't see that as a pleasurable experience to have happen to me, and to be in that much pain, and then to have a baby that then keeps you awake like for pretty much the first 3 years of its life. Like, you're sleep deprived, and when you're sleep deprived you're crazy, and you bring that craziness out into the world. Yeah, that doesn't sound like too great to me. And you have children and they're with you for 30 years, probably more, like, because no one can get a house, or like they go away and they come back like I've done. Like, you know, you're never free of that child. Like, that child is always there, like always wanting you, always needing you, always needing something from you, or, you know, never being happy with you and always kind of blaming you for everything that's wrong with them. Like, why would you want that? Like, why would you want to have that responsibility for pretty much the rest of your life? Like, you know, some people say, oh, I have children so that when I'm old, like, they'll look after me, and it's like, how selfish is that? Like, you think that because you've brought that child into the world and given it life, that they owe you to look after you when you're older. Like, how bad is that? Like, you've had a child that will look after you when you're older. Like, I can't think of anything worse than that. Like, yeah. So not only does that child have to look after you, it has to look after itself and then its own children. It's like, yeah, that's great. So I kind of think, like, I was like thinking then what else do I think? And then I was like, oh, I did think, like, okay, I'm not going to meet like the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with. I'm probably not going to meet someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with, you know. Very highly unlikely, 1 in a trillion, zillion, whatever. I'll have a baby on my own, you know, sperm banks and things, you can have a baby on your own. And then I thought to myself, would I want to be a single parent? No, I wouldn't, like, not at all. Like, what on earth would possess you to be a single parent? Like, that is horrific. Like, it's horrific when you're in a couple and you can, like, you know, pass the baton, but when you're on your own, you don't have anyone to pass the baton with. And you can't, you know, if you want to go and do something, you can't do anything because you've got a child to think of, that you've got to put them first. They've done studies where they've assessed like the happiness level of parents, and you're not happier having children. Like, that children make you unhappier. And we have this kind of like thing of, oh, it's the best thing that I ever did, and the, you know, whatever. Well, yeah, children probably make it more meaningful because actually you're experiencing quite a lot of pain as you're parenting. It's quite horrific. And so that's making it feel more pleasurable and more meaningful, but actually, like, you can have pleasure without having children, and you can have a lot of peace and quiet too. I kind of feel like if you have children, you get on a kind of treadmill of just bringing up kids, because then once you brought your own kids up, then you've got to bring up the grandchildren, and then you kind of die anyway. Like, you don't really kind of develop yourself as a person, think about who you are and what influence you have and the values that you have, and like being a better person. I don't think people really spend a lot of time thinking about how they can become a better person, because they're so focused on the mundane tasks of life, which is to, you know, wipe your child's arse or whatever. Like, you know, you're kind of stuck in the reality of life rather than thinking wider and philosophizing about things, which is not necessarily, you know, there's no judgment here, but these are people's choices. Like, you make choices of what lifestyle you want to have, and do you want to have children, do you not want to have children. It's a massive lifestyle choice. Like, your lifestyle is completely different when you have children compared to when you don't, and you have to make that decision for yourself. And for some people, having a child is amazing, and it's like the best thing they've ever done in their life, and, you know, they're really happy that they've done it, and they want lots of babies, and it's all kind of great and stuff. And if you love children and you think that they're the son of the earth or whatever, doesn't make any sense, but then that's great. But I think children are annoying. Like they're lovely for like 10 minutes and then you give them back. Like, that's perfect. You know, when a child can talk and is inquisitive, and, you know, that's lovely. But, you know, children are annoying. Like, they're really annoying, and you can't have a conversation with them that makes any sense, and you can't, like, you know, I think the only thing that you get from a child that is amazing is unconditional love. Like, that's the only thing that kind of makes it worthwhile, is that child thinks that you're amazing, and they're probably the only person in the world that thinks that, because nobody else does, because let's face it, you're not. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the only time. And then when that child gets old enough, so when they get to like teenage years, they realise that you're not amazing, and there's the, you know, they realise that you're just like everybody else. So it doesn't last. So, like, what's the point? And you have like a teenager who hates you for most of your life. Like, what's the point? So I always think to myself, like, maybe in when I'm looking back, I'll regret like not having children, and not having that kind of connection to another person. But then I just think to myself, well, if I had children now, I would regret it. Like, I would totally regret having a child right now. Like, I could not be a parent and be a good parent right now. Like, I would, well, I could be a good parent, I could be an amazing parent, and I know that I would be, but I'd have to give up my whole life as it is at the minute, and I don't want to give it up. I don't want to have a different life. Like, I like the life that I've got, and so I don't want to have children right now. And given that I'm a female and I don't have that long to kind of think about having children, like, could I imagine having a child in the next 10 years? Like, you can't really answer that question, can you? Because you don't know what your life's going to be like in 10 years. You don't know what your opinions about things are going to be. You know, I could meet someone amazing and want to share a family with them and maybe change my mind then. But right now, like, I don't want to have children. And I think it's really, like, bad that in our society that it's a bit like, why do you not want to have children? Is there something wrong with you? Are you not a nice person? It's like, well, no, it's not that. It's just, I'm actually thinking about it in detail, in lots of detail, and thinking of all the pros and cons of it. And to be honest, it's coming up right now that I would regret it if I had a child right now, so I don't want one, like, now. And And with my viewpoint as it is right now, I wouldn't want one in the future either, but obviously we learn as we grow and we experience new things, and that might change. And if I'm with somebody that really wants a child, like, I might kind of bend more towards it, but I don't know, I can't see myself doing that. It's just funny, isn't it, how some of us want children and some of us don't. Like, some people are really desperate for children. Like, I know people that are trying to find a man because they want children, so they're not interested in the man, they just want children. I find that bizarre. I find that really, really strange that you would force a relationship so that you could have children. And maybe that's why I'm single for so long, because I'm not driven to have children. Like, I don't have that urge to want children, so I'm not in an urge to be with somebody. Like, yeah, being with someone would be quite nice, but I don't want to be with someone for the sake of it. I want to be with someone that blows my mind, whereas there's not many people that do that, so, you know, I'm not really that motivated. So yeah, I thought I'd kind of just do a vlog about it, because I think sometimes you need the opposite side of, like, it's okay not to want children. Like, you know, you're saving the environment by not having children. You're kind of like doing the earth a favour. And you know, there's so many fucked up people in the world. Like, you don't want to add to that by being a bad parent to somebody and then being all kind of like dark and twisty. Like, we've got enough people like that. So yeah,